Hey, everybody. I have the chat moving super slow, so I might have a hope of actually being able to read it tonight. Uh, hey, Chuck Rodriguez from Long Island, New York. Strong Island. Hello, Scott Ian. Scott Ian, you remind me of a story that I'm sure I've told before, but I don't know, maybe not here. And that's that in the early days of Twitter, I didn't quite understand how it worked. And I once really offended Scott Ian from the band Anthrax. Uh, it's a long story. I don't think I'll tell that tonight, but happy Cinco de Mayo, folks. Turn off my other laptop here because it's noisy. Wow, there's a lot of you. This is pretty sweet. All right. What should we talk about tonight? I don't really have a plan. I just felt like going live. I've been doing a lot of podcasts recently, which are always really, really fun. And I was like, I never do this on my own channel. I'm just going to do it. And hopefully it works out as good, if not better, than the last time I did this with Freiberger when we did it, but apparently it was private and it wasn't live. And so we did one and then we hurried up and did another one once I realized how to make it go actual live. And so we basically repeated ourselves twice, but you guys seem to enjoy it, which was awesome. Let's kick it off here. John B, where's the Ratson? The Ratson is in my warehouse right now. And I cannot wait for you guys to see the episodes Freiberger and I are going to drop. Chris Reed is already editing them. I believe he started today. I think probably similar to us. He needed a few days to recover from that trip because that trip was nuts. And Green Bean, thank you. Appreciate it. I will definitely be delinquent with your dollars. Guaranteed. Oh, that's good. Because it's Cinco de Mayo. We're drinking Pacifico tonight. And we'll probably follow it with Modelo because I'm pretty sure I have that here too. More mustard. What's up from SoCal? Hola. Junkyard Garage V6 Ratson. You know what's funny? And you guys will see this when we drop those episodes. Is I bought the Ratson for Motor Trend, if anybody doesn't know, and I flew to San Diego, met up with Freiberger, 03 Silverado, thank you, Mark Bell, thank you. Flew to California, met Freiberger at my buddy Andy Rawls' shop, and we did some work on the car and hit the road. And when I bought the car, I hadn't seen it in a while. I hadn't driven it in a while. And I was never real happy with the 302 Ford we robbed out of that Mustang and stuck in the Ratson. I thought the car kind of lost some of its character. The turbo kit was half-ass fabbed and installed real quickly, and I was never like a fan of how it looked. I thought the very first turbo kit we did for the Ratson was awesome. It was very stealthy, except for the hater pipe. So anyway, long story short, we began that road trip last week or the week before with me fully intending to take the 302 out when I got home and put the all aluminum NASCAR Busch Series V6 that I got from Freiberger in that car. But I tell you what, by the time I got home, I was like, man, this thing's pretty good. Like, I know we can't make a ton of power with it or the stock block will be unhappy about it, but it drove so good. And I don't know. And the other thing that struck me about that car was as we drove cross country, we had two different meetups with people. And I couldn't believe how many people brought out the Hot Wheels for that car. And then I just started realizing like it's not really my car, it's our car. You know, it belongs to everybody that embraced that show, that embraced that build, that you know, went out and got a Hot Wheels for it. And so I don't know that I have the right to really change it significantly. Unless it breaks. If it breaks, all bets are off. But I don't know. I feel like I'm the caretaker of the car. It's not really my car to really screw up. Even though, I mean, the only reason that car exists is because I had one stolen from me. Um, and that's kind of how I pushed for Freiburger and Motorton to be like, "Yo, let's do it. Let's do a Datsun," So I don't know. I got a lot of history with that car. And I love that car, and I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of it before we make any big changes. Having said that, my friend Jeff Prince on Wednesday is bringing me a donor body. Not to unrotson the Ratson, but I need some pieces for it. Like when we went lemons racing with that car, obviously the car got caged, and that the driver's side cage got pushed out to the side to give me some room, all of us who drove the car, some room between the door and ourselves in case somebody hit us in the door. Well, that meant the guts of that door got cut out, the cage protrudes into the door skin, and you can't put a window in there. So we drove cross country over 2,000 miles with no side windows, which wasn't the end of the world. It's weird. The Ratson, because of the shape of the car, you get very little wind coming in there. But what you do get, James Whitman, thank you. What you do get though is parking in a hotel and not sleeping all that well because you're worried your car's going to get stolen because there ain't no windows in it. Um, in fact, during that road trip, we stayed in a couple Airbnbs. We slept in cabins at what is basically a oil refinery worker encampment out in Big Spring, Texas. Like, have you ever seen that show Landman? Um, where all those dudes start their day in the morning, they come out of those cabins, they jump in their super duties, and they all go through the coffee shop with the hot chick serving them coffee. Those cabins are where we stayed, and that was all in an effort to just not leave the rots in a motel parking lot, which we did, I think, twice during that trip. And we bought a car cover and threw it on there. And of course, the turbo tried to melt the car cover because we were in a hurry. But yeah, that was a tangent if there ever was one. I don't know where I was going with that. But long story short, the Ratson road trip was awesome. And I can't wait for you guys to see it. Keith Egger says Landman is a good one. It's definitely entertaining. I don't know anything about the oil business, so I don't know how real it is or how educational it is, but it's totally entertaining. Landman is kind of like, it's a soap opera. It's the same as watching Yellowstone or any of those other Taylor Sheridan deals. They're not boring at all. Like my wife loves them. I watch them because she loves them, and they're pretty damn entertaining. Damien, what's up with Rubber Duck? Been a while. It has been a while. The Rubber Duck is sitting on a battery tender in the warehouse. It needs valve springs and a camshaft that'll actually allow it to rev. And then, it would be a legit 8-second car. Melody K, hello from Mark Bell. Or Mark Bell says Melody K says hello. So yeah, the Rubber Duck is chilling, looking good as ever. It needs a rear set of tires because it's still got the same tires on it from Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0 that Newbern and I did years ago. Which was super fun. We didn't bring a trailer on that deal. We just drove the car the whole way and drove it on the radials. And I don't know. It needs a little bit of work, but it's a killer street car. And it's just one of those. It's kind of not a priority at the moment. Speaking about priorities, right now I know it looks like it's boat season because it is. But I swear to God, I'm working on the Cadillac. I promise. Actually, while I was filming, Andrew Rulo, thank you. While I was filming the Ratson road trip with Freiberger, Joe Cole was back in Georgia in the warehouse, separating the body from the chassis and painting the entire chassis, rear end housing, all that stuff of the Caddy, so that when I got back, we could start building the floors for that deal. And so that's the next thing. I just missed one. Daniel Jones, update on the trade up vehicle. Here's the update. The last trade I made was to Derek Beery from Bicycle Garage. Gave him the 53 truck, which I didn't give him. It's still here in Georgia. I think he wants to drive it home. It's still sitting in my warehouse. Which, if that's any indicator of how long it's going to be there, it'll be there a while, because the last car he left in my warehouse, and I could care less how long it's in there, but it was in there a year. I think he forgot about it. So anyway, Derek has the 53 when he wants it. I have the 40. I have not traded it for anything, but I've identified 5 awesome trades from the probably 100 emails I got from people. And I haven't had any time to do anything with that yet. Also, I haven't talked about it because I don't have the title for the 40 Chev yet from Derek, so it would be hard to make a trade, unless you're just a full-on outlaw and don't care about a title, or you're from Georgia where old cars don't usually have titles anyway. So anyway, I'll have a video update on that soon. Probably not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Because we actually filmed a video with David Freiberger, Steve Brule, and myself last week when we were in New Mexico driving cross country. We stopped, got some beers, hung out in an Airbnb garage with the Ratson and Creme Brulee, and Freiberger and me sat there, and I showed them all the different trades for that car that came in through the email. And then we sat there and bench raced what I should trade for. And they had really interesting takes that genuinely shocked me. I couldn't believe the things that were coming out of these dudes' mouths. And not because they were offensive, they were just surprising. I thought I knew these guys pretty well, especially Brule. I've known Brule longer than I've known Freiberger. I don't think a lot of people even know that. Like, Steve Brule is literally the reason why I'm probably sitting here, because he recommended David Freiberger hire me at Hot Rod Magazine way back in 2009. Brule stood up there at the altar with me at my wedding. Like, I've known that guy a long time. He's like, he's like a dad to me. And so anyway, I thought I knew him really well, and yet he blew me away with some of the things he was commenting on when I showed him pictures and videos of all these cars that we could potentially trade for. So that's a long way of saying that's the update. There's not much, but it's worth the wait. The video we made is going to be cool. Let's see. FPS Toby says, years ago, a buddy of mine saw you at an event called Redneck Rumble in Lebanon, Tennessee. What did you think, and would you go back? That was probably the first event I went to after moving to Georgia. Dave Newbern, Brandon Wise, I forgot who else went, but we threw Blasphemy on the back of the ramp truck and went there, and it was super fun. And great thing about going with those guys is they don't drink, so I was able to drink beer and just hang out and BS with people, and I let little kids start the car up. When we left, I remember right before we left, some guy, and I think a late model Mustang, we allowed him to drive his car up on the ramps of the ramp truck so that we could all look under and around and in it for the snake that crawled into his car during that event. That's literally the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind from that day is 30 or 40 people trying to coax a snake out of that dude's car and using the ramp truck as a car lift, dude. It was rad. All right. What else? Let's talk about the Camaro and FSM Garage Gear giveaway. That ended and you guys crushed it. Oh my god, that deal really made me see the possibilities of what we could do here, in terms of like keeping this channel vibrant and going, and what kind of content we could make, because of your guys' support. We'll just keep doing those giveaways to help fund things, to help buy the parts and the cars, and hire people that can edit way better than me and stuff like that. So anyway, long story short, I keep saying that too. I have the list of winners. I have to find out from the lawyer tomorrow whether they have been able to contact everybody on that list. And once I have confirmation, everybody knows, I'll go live here this week and let you guys know whether it's you. It's pretty cool. I'm excited. I don't know. I've looked at all the names. I don't know any of them, which isn't surprising. But they're kind of spread out. We've got somebody in Louisiana, a couple people in Texas, Maryland, I think. Like it's all over there. So Muse rediscovered, Haro Sport or Haro Mastered, and why? Question. We'll go back 20 years, right? I am living in Anaheim, California with my friends, the Captain and Tito. These are not their real names. And we're living in a rental house, and the X Games are coming into town, and I meet this dude named Chad Kagi, who ends up crashing. I think, pretty sure he crashed at our house, or he just showed up there like right before he was going to compete in LA at the X Games, and he is killer on a bike. If you know what a Haro Master is, I'm sure you know who Chad Kagi is. So anyway, I become friends with him, and fast forward, I don't know, probably 15 years, and he hits me up on Instagram, and he's like, didn't you have a bike stolen? And I told him, I'm like, yeah, I saved up all my lawnmower money and my paper route money from when I was a kid, probably around 1988, 1989, somewhere around there. And I went to the bike shop and I bought a Haro Sport, and it was beautiful. The back half of it was chrome, the front half of it was like teal green, and I only had it for like 3 or 4 weeks because I rode it about 5 miles away from my house, was inside of a 7-Eleven playing video games, and someone stole it from outside that 7-Eleven. And my folks were the kind of people where if you broke something or you lost something, you didn't get it again. They weren't going to help you because you're an idiot. And so that was the first and last high-end bike I ever owned as a kid. And I had told Chad that story. Well, he had called his buddy Flip at Albi Bikes, which is probably the biggest online bike store I think there is. And Flip invites me to come to a vintage bike show in Michigan at his headquarters. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll go. And he was like, bring some merch. So I'm like, no, these are dudes with bikes. Nobody's gonna want a blast me shirt, like I just want to go see these cool old bikes. So anyway, I go there, and I was shocked at the number of dudes that were into BMX and freestyling that knew about Roadkill and Hot Rod Garage and these motor trend shows. And I met a bunch of really nice people, and I got to meet Matt Hoffman, legend, and a whole bunch of other guys. Well, before the show ended, I was just standing around, and I had seen like 3 Haro Sports at this show that looked just like mine. And these guys were serious about these bikes. Some of them were thousands and thousands of dollars. Like these guys, they treated their bikes the way some guys treat their cars when they go to a car show. Like they carried these bikes in. They didn't even roll them on the tires. It was pretty impressive. And of course, there were others who were just out there doing tricks and having all kinds of fun. They were using their bikes. But before the show ended, Flip brings out a Haro Sport that I swear to you, if you didn't tell me it wasn't mine, I thought it was the bike that got stolen from me. And he gave it to me. And I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And I was about to get on it when I realized I'm now 6'1". I don't quite fit on this thing. And the last thing I'm gonna do is something where I'm gonna eat shit on this thing in front of a couple hundred people. And so I looked at it, I got all stoked, and I was like, Flip, do something cool on this thing. And Flip did a decade on it in front of everybody, and it was rad. And the next day we went to a bike park, and I got to watch Matt Hoffman ride. And anyway, it was amazing. And it was one of the coolest things anybody's ever done for me. Was This was not my bike that got stolen, but it looked just like it. Like right down, it had the original tires on it. And it was an unrestored 88 or 89 Haro Sport. And I still have it. I rode the crap out of it when I got home until I popped a tube, and it's been hanging in my rafters for a little while. My kids, they ride, and they look at that bike all the time, and I don't let them ride it. I'm like, you ride the other bikes. You're not riding that bike. And so anyway, another long story, but that's my history with Haro. Let's see. Damien, Drag Week 2025. Yeah, I'll be there. I didn't think I was going to be there. My 20-year wedding anniversary and one of my son's birthday fall on Drag Week this year. My anniversary and his birthday falls on it every year. And so I didn't go. I've kind of gone every other year that I've, been in the mood to compete. And after last year, I'm highly motivated to go back there and compete. And so I don't know, a couple weeks ago, she called me and we were talking, and I brought it up, and she's like, go. Because she's a saint and she's cool, and she knows we'll go celebrate our anniversary, on a different day. And we'll celebrate my kid's birthday before I leave. And she's pretty special. She understands what it means to me to go there. and try to compete with those other legends that are going to be at drag weeks. So yes, I will be there. Tony Angelo will not be riding with me, which I would be bummed about, except I'm not, because he's bringing his 55 Chevy, the one with the NASCAR motor in it. And so I would I would love to compete with Tony, but I'm really excited to see him drive his own car at one of these deals, because I think he'll do well and it'll be fun. And so yeah, I will be there, and we will be ready. Like, we will absolutely be ready. If you saw Sunday's video, we've already been testing the blasphemy. I actually filmed that video back in February or March. And there's another one coming out where we went to an event in April called Sick of the Rock, where we won in two categories. We went 860, we went 868. Like blasphemy is really good right now. And I don't mean, and I'm not even afraid to say that out loud. Like, it is really, really good right now. And it seems to be really reliable, and I'm gonna keep using it. I'm not afraid to beat up on it. I'm not trying to save it between now and drag week. Like, we're gonna go use it. In fact, in May, there's another 2-day drag and drive at Beach Bend Raceway in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's called Sick on the Green. I think it's May 29th through 31st. Joe and I are gonna go to that one. I'm actually gonna bring my family, because if you guys are anywhere near Kentucky, Beach Bend is awesome. They have a roller coaster, a drag strip. They have a water park, like water slides and stuff. So I'm bringing my family. We're gonna go. We're gonna go on the water slides and do some more drag and drive stuff, and I'm psyched. So, any plans for Six Summer? No, I'll be on my vacation with my family during Six Summer, so I will not be there. Dennis James, thank you. Yeah, dude, I'm psyched about Blasphemy. Josh Emery says, "How's the Lexus coming?" Really good, actually. It's on track to be done before the Cadillac, which is sad. It's really sad. Since I've owned that car, maybe I don't know. I think I've only owned the Lexus about a year, but it's in somebody else's shop, and they do that every day for a living, so it makes sense. The Lexus is an interesting deal. The takeaway from that is, the golden rule: drive it before you buy it. And no, I couldn't have driven that car, and I probably wouldn't have understood the depth of how screwed up it was by looking at it, because I'm not a chassis guy. But it needed everything. There's very little of that car left, but it's in the best hands possible. And when it comes out, it should work, and it should be really cool. So fired up for that. AJ Brown, how's the transition to YouTube going? Miss Motor Trend. I miss my friends that I worked with at Motor Trend, and I don't, I don't know. I'm always looking forward. I don't look back a lot. Very rarely do I look back, and I don't have a good reason why for that. I couldn't tell you why. I'm always like, what's the next thing? What are we doing? And so I'm nostalgic and happy about all the cool stuff we did while we were at Motor Trend. And like I said, I'll miss some of the people that I worked with, a lot of them actually. But I'm very happy right now with what I'm doing. A lot less stressed out, I'll tell you that much. And although the pace at which I do things here at home probably frustrates some people, like with the Cadillac, it's just kind of how I need to do things, because this isn't a job. This is a lot of fun. But if I change the way I do things, it could become a job, and I don't want that to happen. So um, we will keep waking up every day and going, what do we feel like doing today? And that's what we'll film, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and embrace it. So John O'Brien says, cool surprise for Monday night. So are you going to address the two elephants in the garage? Oh, all right. That one, that's a ski tow attached to my wife's jet boat right there. Let me see what I can do here. Can I carry this laptop everywhere? All right, hold on. All right. So what you guys are looking at, that is an Eliminator Daytona 21-foot long jet boat with a Texas Speed 427 long block. It's got a Frankenstein intake and twin Nelson Racing engines, 72 millimeter turbos. And I made that turbo kit here at home with my friends. and we rigged this entire boat here. And it's been 117 miles an hour. And yes, this is my wife's boat, which is why there's pillows in it. That's the family boat. This one over here, I made a bunch of videos on going drag racing in this thing. We call this thing Side Chick because it kind of treats me like it's a side chick. We just got this back together, just started testing it the other day, and we'll have a video out soon. This is the boat that I bought right after I took the motor out of Game Over and sold the boat. I bought this turnkey, and then all it did was break for a year and a half. Broke and broke and broke over and over and over. But I just had Pete Haro and his crew rebuild the 632, and I am proud to say I have made 6 passes on it and nothing's broken. And I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a pattern there. Haro Engine and Dyno in Mooresville, North Carolina, builds stuff that usually is more reliable and doesn't break. So, unfortunately, I live in Georgia, where there is no drag boat racing here. And so, when I bought that boat, it sat in California, and I thought my friends and I will get together and we'll just go drag boat racing when we have time. And I left that boat in California for over a year, and I would just fly out or drive out or whatever, and we did that. But I had to bring it home to fix it because it just, it was kind of turning into a nightmare. We just weren't having any luck with the guy building the engine and some parts on the boat. And so now that it's back here in Georgia, we rewired some stuff, replumbed some stuff. Motor's been rebuilt. She seems very happy. But now that we're in Georgia, other than testing it on my local lake, I don't have a lot of plans for it because the nearest drag boat race is 12 hours away. And in drag boat racing, you don't usually get a lot of passes. Like there's 2 associations within 12 hours of me. Neither one of them will allow you to race more than one class. And because drag boat racing is so small and the boat count is so small, you don't ever have a full field of like 16 boats in one class these days. And so, it's kind of hard to justify driving 12 hours to maybe go out and lose in first round, So I don't know. I don't know when we'll be racing it, but I would like to, because it's only got 1 seat in it. There's not a lot you can do with that thing. So, let's see what else here. C10 at LS Fest this year. Probably not. I don't know if you guys know, but the very last episode of Roadkill we ever filmed involved using Death Metal Charger and my C10. And Death Metal Charger left that place with no windshield in it, and my C10 came home burnt to a crisp. Not the whole truck, but a lot of it. A broken drive shaft, every hose in the back of the truck fried, cross members smashed, sheet metal torn, the bed is bent. Like it got pretty screwed up during that shoot. And so I need to fix it, but right now I'd much rather work on a Cadillac. So after we test Side Chick tomorrow some more, the Cadillac will come back home. We'll start building the floor for that thing. So the C10 will probably be a wintertime project. I hope. I don't know. Why the number 999? Wow, that's an easy one. The very first drag boat race I ever went to, Steve Brule took me, and I didn't know anything about racing at all. And I remember we went to Lake Ming at Bakersfield, and registration was in a bar on a golf course overlooking the lake. And it's no longer there, but I remember walking into the bar to register and then drinking a lot. And it was great. The whole bar was full of boat racers and everybody's partying, and I thought this is the coolest thing ever, And I was filling out my paperwork to register for the race, and they said, "What's your boat number?" And I didn't have one, and I just thought, well, if it ever flips upside down, 999 would look kind of funny to me. And that was literally the only reason I chose that number. Is I just thought it would be funny if the boat was ever upside down. So that's how I ended up putting 999 on, the boats and pretty much anything I've ever raced. So Are you coming to duct tape drags? I don't know. I'd like to. Freiberger doesn't have a date set for it, and I'd like to go. The last couple of years I haven't. It just the scheduling just didn't work out, but I would like to because that's fun. It's definitely fun. Um, White Knight Cutlass. Almost done with my 37 Chevy Coupe. Straight axle. Wondering how I'm gonna like the straight axle. What's your opinion compared to the independent front suspension? I've never drove a straight axle car. Um, Here's my opinion on that. A straight axle car, you can absolutely drive one. You can race one. Lots of people do it. They work relatively well. I'm a bigger fan of a 4-bar front suspension on a straight axle than I am leaf springs because in most cars, the only way to package the leaf springs ahead of the firewall is to use leaf springs that are so short that you have virtually no travel and your shackle is up against the frame rail and it's not a great suspension for the front end of a car, especially if you're trying to go really fast, in my opinion. At 160 miles an hour, my car was very, very sketchy. On the road, it was probably even worse. You know, you hit a pothole and it would try to change lanes because of what happens with the steering when you hit, one wheel in a ditch on a front end, where the steering link's kind of going downhill. And so I think they look cooler than an A-arm front end, absolutely, but I love driving my car, and I wanted to drive it more, and the A-arm front end just flat out works better. You can drive with, 2 fingers on the steering wheel down the road, and it doesn't matter what the road looks like. It just eats it up. Um, but for sure, a straight axle looks cooler, in my opinion. Alright, Roy Ross, have you ever thought about building a mini jet boat like Cletus has? I have, but it's a time thing, you know? I love the idea of taking one of those kits and welding them together, but I just have no time to do it. I'm up to here in unfinished or projects that need work, and so, I had a guy yesterday I went to a truck show, not yesterday, on Saturday here in Atlanta called, C10s in the City. Super fun, and it was the first truck show that I'd been to probably in 2 decades, and, and it was so fun to go somewhere and just chill out and just sit and talk and look at trucks and not race something. I really enjoyed it. It was very relaxing. But while I was there, somebody asked me if I could help them with their project car, and it sounded really fun. But I was like, oh my God, I have so many of my own sitting here that are not done or, need my attention or whatever that I don't have time. I just don't. So Adam Pollard, what up? It goes good. Andrew D, thank you. Brian Ekstrom says, "Open a beer, please. Use a cool opener." All right, I'm almost out. Let me go. Don't go anywhere. I'll be quick like a bunny. I'm gonna get another beer. All right, I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. All right. So my coolest bottle opener doesn't work anymore, but it's a bottle opener that makes the same Dixie horn as the General Lee, but it broke. My second coolest bottle opener is shaped like a piston and a connecting rod, and I got it from my friends at CP Carrillo, and it doesn't make any noises, but I just like it. So there, I opened a beer for you. All right. Any chance you'll do any of the races with Cletus? Yeah. I mean, I had so much fun when we did Bristol. I loved that one. I'd never been in a car on a track where you legit did not have to lift off the throttle to make the corner. It was so fun. And I still feel bad about hitting Boosted Boy Kyle's car and totaling it. Um, I think we're cool though. I ran into him at Sick Week. I'm pretty sure we're cool. Pretty sure I need a rematch with his minivan though. Um, So yeah, I would totally do one of Cletus's races. Raphael Ziller says, "Do you know the guys from Fuel Tech?" I do. Um, that's a funny question. They're actually going to be here in my garage tomorrow, because we're going to test the boat, and then we're going to look about putting Fuel Tech parts on it. Because my boat came with an obsolete data acquisition system called Edelbrock Quick Data 2 that Edelbrock no longer makes, no longer supports. You can't get any pieces for it. And 80% of the time, the data logger doesn't log data. And so we were testing the boat last week and this week and gathering zero information from the data box. And I just lost it. And I was like, I'm done with this thing. And I've never had fuel tech in anything except the Lexus came with an FT 500 or 600 system in it, and I need to learn how to work it because I'm going to use it when the car goes together. And so I called Anderson at Fuel Tech and said, "Hey, I'm going to go test the boat tomorrow. Do you want to come take a look at this thing and kind of school me on what Fuel Tech parts I should put in this thing?" Because that's a carbureted big block Chevy with a MSD 7531 digital 7 ignition box in it, and then an Edelbrock quick data box. And so, Fuel Tech is EFI, but it does all the other things I want it to do, which is mainly data logging. And we could use it for the ignition if we wanted to, run it that way. And so long term, I might convert that boat to EFI. Right now, I just need a data logger that works. And I would love to have a screen on the dash because that boat has no gauges. Right now, there's a zip tie. There's a tack holding a zip tie to the steering column that Joe just put in there, so I'd have something to look at. But legit, for over a year, I've raced that boat with no gauges in the dashboard because that's how the boat was built. It was a very minimalist looking deal. And it's a little scary to sit there and fire the motor up at the starting line and not know if it has oil pressure, before you go as fast as you can on water. So yeah, my immediate goals with the fuel tech thing would be to have some information in front of me on the dashboard and have a data logger that actually data logs. So hopefully tomorrow I'll learn some more information about that. Okay. Who ended up with the anniversary all aluminum 427? I think it was in the yellow 57. That's from G Naren OBS build. Dude, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe Lucky has it or Lucky knows where it went. I know Lucky did some work to that car. Well, for sure, it might have been him and Tony or him and Alex. They did some work to it on Hot Rod Garage, but I think in the interim, Lucky did some work in his shop on it. But as far as I don't know, did that car even get sold? That's an interesting car. So if you don't know what Project X is, it's a yellow 57 Chevy that's been with whatever you're going to call Peterson Publishing these days, forever. And it was in the movie Hollywood Nights. It's a pretty famous car, and a lot of people are very opinionated about what it should look like, and what engine should be between the frame rails. And I don't know anything about that car right now. I just remember at one point that car was treated like God at the company, and it was allegedly insured for $1 million, and it was the world's most famous project car. And then a couple years later, it was in the corner, covered in dust. Somebody had hit it or something. I don't know. The current state of it, I don't even know. I don't know who owns it. I don't know what happened to any of the motors that were in it. I'm way out in Georgia. Not a lot of people tell me anything. In fact, just today, some dude on YouTube dropped a video about why Motor Trend imploded, and I watched it, and there were some things he said in there that I don't know if they're true or not, but they were eye openers for me. I was like, didn't know that. Um, yeah, I don't have a lot of answers with that stuff, and like I said, it's kind of old news. There's no point in looking back at it, and I'm really happy now. So whatever happened happened, and we just move on. Let's see. Jeff Hughes, thank you. He's got a 49 Chevy truck, a rat rod with a 454 and a Gearstar 4L80E. Dude, good trans. Holly Terminator, it's been a fun build. Dude, I'll bet it is. That thing sounds great. They turned the yellow Chevy into an EV Project X. Yeah, they did do that, but I'm pretty sure they undid it. Somebody It's wild. There are people at that company that are so hell bent on telling everybody how great EVs are that they took Project X and turned it into an EV, and then they were surprised at the backlash, which is just wild. Like that audience was never gonna be happy with them turning that car into an EV. In my opinion, they should have turned a DeLorean into an EV. That made sense, but not Project X. So, would you ever go back to Motor Trend if it was brought back? Nah, probably not. You know, I won't say never, but dude, it would be highly unlikely. You know, like I was there when some knucklehead was like, "Yep, we're taking it off YouTube and putting it behind a paywall," and I was like, I just shook my head. I was like, "This is the worst idea ever," you know. And I was there at the end when they just canceled us and didn't tell us why. Um, I don't know that I want to go back there. Um, I don't have a lot of faith, and so um, I don't know. YouTube's so much fun. I can't understand why, if you're capable of creating your own destiny and earning a living and doing what you enjoy, I don't get the appeal of going to make TV, you know. Um, Dan Hack, how's the foot? Foot's pretty good. Foot's pretty good. Went snowboarding again, didn't break it. Psyched about that. I was a little it was weird. Like I never thought about injuries. I don't ever think about it when I'm in a car or a boat or anything. And I never really thought about it snowboarding. But I'll admit the first time I went snowboarding this year and I was with my kids, I was like my only goal was to leave that mountain without a broken leg again. Um and I don't know, the first 2 or 3 runs, I got it out of my system. After that, I was fine. You know, my kids kick ass at it now, and so they were like, "Come on, dad, go to the park with us. Hit the rails, dad." And I was spooked, man. I was genuinely spooked. But after the first couple of rails, I was like, "Okay, we're good, you know. I should be fine." And I'm happy to report I didn't break anything. All right. Cody Anderson, is a 4.3 worth building, or would you spend money on bigger cubes or an LS? Cody, I think that just depends on what your goals are. There's nothing wrong with a 4.3 except that they're inherently, because of the way they're designed, not balanced, and so they shake and they vibrate and stuff comes loose. The later 4.3s actually have a balance bar running through the block to kind of help that. Um, the Ratson's engine didn't have that, which is why, like at 24 hours of lemons, the carburetor came loose, everything came loose on that motor. Um, so there's that. You know, the engines tend to split cylinder walls around the 450, 500 horsepower mark because there's a lot of core shift in those blocks and the cylinder walls are very thin. Um, so unless you're like hell bent on having 700, 800, or 1,000 horsepower, then I mean, a 4.3 is kind of cool because nobody uses them, nobody builds them. In a sea of LS engines, could be cool. As far as spending money on bigger cubes or an LS, like it would be cheaper to build an LS or a big block Chevy for sure. Especially if you're trying to make huge power. So, Paul says, "What's going on with the Caddy? Is it going to be a drag and drive machine?" Yes, yes, it is. That my goal for that car is to go to a drag and drive with my friends and have a Cadillac that runs eights with air conditioning and just look pimptastic doing it. Currently, what's going on with it is that boat behind me over there, the black one. There, there, no, there, that one there. That one we're testing tomorrow, and then it'll go back to the warehouse, and then the Cadillac will go where that thing is sitting, and we'll start building floors for it. Since the last time you guys saw it on Finnegan's Garage, the chassis got painted, and we're ready to start making some progress. I believe Nelson is real close to being done with the motor. I believe he's going to be dynoing it soon. So my goal is before the end of this year to drive that car. I don't know if it'll be a drag and drive, but ultimately, yeah, that's where I'm putting that thing. John Barlow, good morning. He's in Australia. And evening. Well, it's evening here. It must be morning there. It's midday somewhere. Someone's drinking. That's all I know. Keith Decker, how do you cool the motor in the jet boat in your driveway? There's 2 ways to do it. Sometimes I don't even bother putting, water to it because I'll run it for 20 seconds and you're not gonna kill it in 20 seconds. But, the other way you can do it is you can get a bucket of water and a bilge pump and pump water out of the bucket through the back of the boat, through hoses that cool the engine, and then back out into the bucket of water and just recirculate it. That's what we do when we're drag boat racing. We'll warm the thing in the pits, try to get some heat in the cylinder heads, and then we'll unhook the bucket and launch the boat in the water and go race it. Drew Turner, sorry, says, how is the C10? The C10 is a mess, brother. Like, it's bad. It basically got screwed up during the last roadkill episode we filmed, and it needs major surgery because of it. I'm talking plumbing, wiring, sheet metal, chassis work, everything. And so I'm sad about it, but I'm kind of excited to work on it again. So that'll be this winter. Eric Shin, aloha. Thank you. You should run Blasphemy against Murder Nova's 55. I think his son is going to be driving it. It would make for cool content. I agree. He and I have talked about that often. And his schedule, I think, is even busier than mine, especially this racing series they do, the one that was and No Prep Kings, then No Prep Elite. Now it's called something else. They have the worst schedule I've ever seen in motorsports. Like, if I'm not mistaken, their first race this year is in California. The second race is on the East Coast. I'm like, dude, and so I don't see us doing that anytime soon, but he and I have talked about just road tripping to like a minor league stadium and catching a ball game and then going to a drag strip and just going on an adventure. Cause he's definitely down for a road trip, and that's a great street car. And I might get donkey stomped, but I will damn sure try to win. Carl B says, oh, hey, this channel hit 1 million subs on April 24th. Awesome. Yeah, dude, that's massive. Massive, massive, massive. It took 9 years. And I got to be honest, it was moving at a snail's pace for so long that I stopped paying attention to it. And when it finally happened, I was in the car with Freiberger in the Ratson driving, and he turned and shook my hand, and I was like, what? And he's like, you just hit 1 million subs. I was like, oh, dude, I totally forgot about that. And so I didn't have a big clip show or a celebration episode or anything planned because I totally had forgotten about it. So I bought beer and one single firework. And my plan was to, like, during that road trip, to sit around, drink some beer with him, and blow up my one firework and share that with you guys. Except we got so busy that I forgot to blow up the firework. We did drink the beer though. So this can be our 1 millionth episode celebration podcast. I should change the title. David hit 400K on the same day. Yeah, dude. And what does that tell you? It took 9 years for me to get to 1 million. David hit 400K in like 6 months, dude. Like, he's crushing it. Eric Stahl in 321. This is a celebration. Yes, it is. Jonathan Melching, stand-up jet ski update. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. All right, so I own 2 stand-up jet skis, a 2020 Yamaha Superjet 2-stroke that Cletus McFarland picked up from me from a dealership in Florida on the roof of Leroy, which was epic. And I own a 1994 model that is just, the 2020 is totally stock. That's the family ski. Everybody rides it. The 94 is fully hot rodded out. And currently the throttle is like an on and off switch. It's either trying to throw you over the bars or spit you off. And so nobody really rides that except Joe and myself. And so I probably need to like tone that thing down so my kids can ride it again, because it's aggressive. But they're super fun. I love riding them. They're like riding motorcycles on the water. It's so fun. So there's the episode. Kibby and Finnegan show. Having dinner with Bernie and Corn Dog tomorrow. Want me to kick him in the junk or something? Absolutely. Handle that business for me, all right? Any advice for growing small channels? Yeah, I got some advice. Pay attention to guys like Mark Rober or Mr. Beast or anybody that is doing that's just crushing it, you know? Pay attention to how they make thumbnails, their titles, how their videos are organized and laid out, and how they're edited, you know? Like, if you know Mark Rober, if you notice, he gives you, like, 1 or 2 payoffs, like, big things in every episode, and he usually gives you the first one immediately when you click on it, to kinda keep you around. And I'm great at giving all that advice, bad at following it because my videos tend to not lend themselves to doing that, and so this channel could be way bigger if I could just follow the formula, but I just can't seem to do it because it's hard to do that when you're building something in your garage or going on a drag and drive or, you know, whatever. So, Paul McCool, what's your plan for the C10 since the fire? I don't know. I'm in a weird place with that truck because I'm unhappy with the IRS because it wheel hops so bad. That's probably fixable, but not easily. You know, those hydro shocks from Mittler Brothers are great. They ride really good. They lift the truck up. They, you know, set the truck on the ground when you park it or scrape it. They're great, but you cannot. There are no knobs on it. You cannot adjust them, and so you can revalve them. You know, you can mail those things back to them, but that's kind of tedious to go. Here's what it's doing. Mail them to you. Get them back. See if it works. Doesn't work. Mail them back again. So I don't know. And so I don't know. I'm kind of over the IRS in that truck. The problem with being over the IRS in that truck is the entire bed is built around the fact that the drive shaft never moves up and down because it's independent rear suspension. So if I get rid of the IRS and put a solid axle in there and still want the truck to go up and down, now you got to cut the bed floor out of the truck, which was a lot of work for Scott's Hot Rods to build. Um, you know, the right rear quarter panel of that thing is completely bent from when the drive shaft broke and they had to get the truck off the drag strip, so they drug it up onto a trailer and that tacoed the quarter panel. Like, there's some snowballs happening there, you know, where you just start this can of worms. When the drive shaft broke, it ripped the front bulkhead in front of the IRS, which is a part of the chassis. It's a TIG welded sheet metal dimple dyed cross member. That was really nice. That all got ripped apart. Couple of the round tube X members under the IRS got dented and ripped from when the drive shaft broke. Like, there's a lot of stuff wrong with that thing. And so I'm kinda tempted to just cut the back of it off at the cab and start over and, you know, call up Auto Metal Direct and buy a new bed and, you know, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to sit and stare at that truck once I'm over the shock and the anger of how screwed up it is, but, I won't make any rash decisions this evening while drinking Pacifico, I'll tell you that much. Best day at work ever, question mark? Damn right. Hanging out here talking to you guys, dude. I have beer. This doesn't suck. Ryan Edick says, looking to build my first motor, to replace my gutless 307 olds, thinking about building a budget 455 olds for it. Any tips? Oh, dude, do it. I have a love for the 455 olds. Um, don't expect big horsepower numbers, but you can make some pretty damn good torque with those things. There's books that have been written over the years, magazine articles. You know, you can do a lot with very little with a 455. Like a stock 455 made 390 horsepower and way more than that in torque. And so, you know, it's hard not to have fun in a car, especially if you're coming from a 307 olds, you know. So, my advice is do it. Look for, I think it's the K casting heads. I think it's the K. Those were the better 455 heads. Joe Mondello is no longer with us, but I believe his family or someone bought the business from him and can still sell you his recipe and parts for building a 455. You know, you can stroke them, you can do oil restricted top end, you know, camshaft lifters, you know, all the normal stuff you would do to any motor, you can do your 455 volts. So I haven't looked it up in a long time, but if you Google Joe Mondello or Mondello Twister, that's a good place to start. Who pays for the damage to your C10? In general, who pays for the damage to your cars during the TV shoot? I do. you know? I don't I can't generalize that about being that way for every TV shows, because 'cause I've had friends who have totaled their cars during filming of TV shows, and they got cut checks for it. My situation, no. I had to carry my own insurance, which my insurance doesn't cover drag racing, so, when it broke on a drag strip while racing. And so there was no point in even following a claim. You know, other than them transporting it home to me, it's on me to fix it. It's always been that way. A lot of people just assume, you know, everything was free, and it wasn't. When every time the Hemi broke, I was paying for it. So, I've had great sponsors along the way and great people that have helped me, thank God. Um, like, well, I opened this beer with my CP Carrillo, you know, bottle opener. They've been great. The last rebuild on Blasphemy's engine, we had a problem with our pistons. I showed you guys they were all caved in, and they machined and mailed a set of pistons in like 8 days to me. Um, and sometimes that in itself is way more valuable than someone giving you a free product. Just being able to have access and get a hold of things is way more valuable. Having somebody come into my garage and teach me how to do something is way more valuable than, getting something for free. And so, yeah. Uh, no, I usually had to pay for things. Now that's not to say they didn't pay for some things, because they did. Like, I remember when we did, I think it was Death Metal Charger. Um, I had pitched them the idea of 2J swapping it, and I owned the motor. I had bought it, but the accessories to make it run and stuff, Motor Trend paid for those. It was part of their production budget. And so I think in those situations, like, if it's a part of the budget and it's a part of the original plan, um, they did foot the bill for some of those things. But when stuff blows up or crashes or whatever, you kinda on your own on that deal. Um, Beekeeper 610 says, "How about Fletcher from Pennywise does a drag and drive with you once the caddy is done?" Dude, that would be sick. That would be so cool. Let's be real. I've never met him. I don't even know the guy. I've just been a fan of his music since I was a kid. And we've DM'd, and I think we've talked on the phone once or twice. But I don't know him. But just, I don't know. How does somebody that wrote such good songs like Unknown Road and Badge of Pride and Bro Him, how is that dude not fun as hell in a Cadillac on a drag and drive? So I'm in. I'm sure it'll be rad. So, Prof Rusky says, "Hey mate, are you planning another trip down under?" I have no plans. I gotta be honest, one of the pluses about having roadkill end is that I'm home all the time now, and I'm really, really enjoying that. Um, my kids are at an age where they're just super fun, and they're into sports and music and all these things, and I get to go do those things now. I had a solid week when, the news came out that roadkill was over, where I was bummed about it. I was bummed about how it ended. But then I sat there and I counted the number of episodes we filmed, and I added up all the days that it required to film those episodes, and I realized I missed an entire year of my kids' lives making 13 years of roadkill. And as cool as it was, the moment I realized that fact, I went, "I'm cool. It's over. I'll hang out with my family." And I was lucky that I had the YouTube channel. I was so lucky. And so now I try to only travel once a month, and I try not to do any more than that. And so the trip to Down Under thing, I would love to do it. I'd love to go see Marty and Moog. That would have to be my one trip for the month. And so at some point, I'm sure it's going to happen. I just don't have a plan for it right now, because right now I'm just really enjoying the fact that I'm home. Um, and I'm not in a hurry to change that. So let's see. What else? Puddin' Fab thanked you and Freiberger in Thursday's video. Oh, that's cool, dude. When are you and Joe going to join Cletus for a cheap car challenge? I don't know. I mean, never forget, Cletus has a bunch of friends that work with him every day, and so he doesn't always need a bunch of people, to fill out a cheap car challenge. Like I had so much fun watching them do the cheap truck challenge where they ghost road those things. Like I've always wanted to do that. In fact, I almost every episode where we ended up in the desert, I was like to the director and to Dave, I was like, please guys, let me ghost ride the whip right here, right now. I just want to send it towards that mountain and just see what happens. And there were lawyers, so we never could. But when they launched those trucks, dude, I was cheering. It was so cool. Hmm. All right. Flight Sim Scoob said, when you started at Motor Trend, was TV personality ever a thought in your mind? No, no. It was never a goal. You got to remember when I started working there, I went to work there specifically to get a job taking photos and writing magazine stories about cars. That was my dream. In fact, when I started there, we had Blackberries and nobody was making videos. um, I think, I mean, I started working in magazines in the year 2000. This is well before YouTube, Street Fire. Jesus, I think that's pre-Facebook, isn't it? I mean, God, I don't know. So no, the whole working on TV thing, that was never a goal. That was just I got a job with Freiberger, and it was his idea to go film a road trip, and he and I just had fun together. It was literally his idea to film this stuff. And if you watch that early stuff, I don't say a lot. I was genuinely happy to just be the wrench. Like, what do you need? What do you need built? What do you need fixed? I will crawl under there and get dirty. Um, it took a lot to kind of come out of my shell in the beginning and I'm like speak. And so yeah, it was just kind of a happy accident. So Mr. Typo says, "What's good? I'm doing laundry." God, laundry sucks. We all got to do it though. I don't mind the washing. It's the putting away. I could do without putting away. It's probably why I wear t-shirts so much because I don't even like hanging them up, dude. I would leave them in the if I didn't have a wife, I would just wash the stuff and leave it in the basket, dude. Just grab one out every day, whatever I needed. Oh, the machine does the laundry. Let's not pretend that it's 1800. All right, Bracho. I gotta turn the socks right side out. I gotta check my pockets to pull all the nuts and bolts out of them. The machine is not doing that. I'm doing that. All right. Give me my flowers, damn it. Mess it up and your wife will never ask you again. That is true. And, there is some strategy there. Like, I can't seem to fold towels the right way. And so my wife hasn't asked me to put towels or fold them away in years because I don't do them the way she does them. In my defense, the way she does them seems to change every year. There's some other new way to fold them that she's seen on Pinterest. And so, I don't know. But yeah, laundry GPT. Absolutely, I need laundry GPT, man. Any plans to go to the duct tape drags this year? I answered that earlier. I don't believe there's a date set, and I would love to go. If I can make it, I absolutely will. Speaking of Blackberries, how great was the ball breaker game? That was great, actually. I forgot about that. It's Carrie says, I'm out here driving home from work. Be careful. Hopefully you're not reading these messages. Jesus. Brandon Walker says he just finished up the last episode of Roadkill. He's sad to see it go. I am too. But I gotta be honest, cool things are happening in YouTube land. Like Freiberger and I, we got the band back together. We've already filmed something. You're gonna dig it. Any chance of racing up in New England? I have race car struggle due to the size, so I love watching. You're 7 feet tall, size 17 shoes. Damn, Tree Dawson. Whew. New England, yeah. Drag Week starts at MIR, Maryland International Raceway. So drag week in September, I will be up that way. So hopefully you can come on out. I forget what the other tracks are, but to get to drag week, I got to drive from Georgia all the way to Maryland, which is, I don't know, I think 16 or 17 hours. So yes, John Vines, I will be there. Den, are you still putting together the radial car you had at the chassis shop? Yes, the radial car, the Lexus, still at the chassis shop. They've made massive progress on it. We can go over some of that. The back end of the car is done. That is trailer hitch, parachutes, puke tanks, trunk lid, wing, all new bars in the back of the car, 4-link mounts. Oh, what else? The whole middle of the car, the spine, the seat mounts, fire bottles are in, pedals are in, steering is in. I believe they're now working on the front of the car, which the next thing will be motor mount, turbos hanging. Basically, I'm guessing in the next couple of months, I'll get it back as a roller and it'll be ready to wire and plumb and fab the hot and cold side of the turbo kits. They're going to build the front fuel cell. They've already built the rear fuel cell, the street tank. They've already built that. And the work is outstanding, dude. I cannot wait to show you guys that car. So as soon as Ryan says, come on down, I'll shoot an update for you guys and I'll bring that. All right. Jay Sloan says, any plans of getting work done by Tin Soldier race cars? I don't have any plans, and it's not because I wouldn't want it. I just don't live anywhere near those guys. But I was really, really happy to meet them, especially Jason, and go by their shop during a drag and drive event a couple years ago. That they were one of the stops. Super cool. I've learned a bunch from watching their YouTube videos, and Charlie Brown is one of the coolest race cars I've ever seen. So I don't know, maybe one day. I would absolutely buy parts from them too, because they make awesome rear end housings and stuff. So you should bring Sidechick to Smoke on the Water in Oklahoma, Kevin Marr. I've looked into that. What is it with people in Oklahoma and Texas having races in the middle of summer? I'm gonna guess I'm spoiled that, like, in California, because it's hot, they race March, April, May. They stop June, July, and August. Then they start up again in September. They don't race when you want to pass out in your black driving suit sitting in the sun in your boat on the starting line. But for whatever reason, the SDBA, KDBA, and I forget the other association, they like to race in Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri in the dead of summer, dude. So I don't know. Oklahoma in August doesn't sound that appealing to me. Maybe I'm wrong though. Let's do a couple more. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. We've been out here an hour. Let's do a couple more. All right. Oh, now they're going fast, yo. All right. Let's see here. Nick M says Kennewick boat races are always hot. I don't know what that is, but I'll agree with you. Mike Frame says, have you drank all the Yingling that Dave gave you? No. Not for lack of trying. One of my neighbors, Chris, is a Yingling fanatic, like more than me. And he routinely bootlegs me Spotted Cow from Wisconsin and brings it down here to Georgia. So when I got back from visiting Dave and I had all that Yingling, I was like, Jesus, there's a lot. Here, Chris, take some of this because I know you're going to drink it quickly. James Richard says Dirtfish ? I don't know what your question is, but Dirtfish is awesome. It's also in Washington State. I'm nowhere near it. I would love to go there, but I'm nowhere near it. Brandon H, love the show. Gives me encouragement working on my own never-ending projects. Current project is rebuilding a 2-liter LTG in my daily driver 16 ATS after multiple failed used engines. Dude. Thank you. You are clearly on the struggle bus, but I wish you luck. I feel like you got this. Doctor says, what's up with Greta? Any plans for it? Greta does not need a lot. Greta is really fun. Needs a firewall bad. I nearly melted driving that thing home from New Bern's. So firewall for sure, and then a little tweaking, and then just go have fun with it. I mean, that's an awesome car. Might even be a decent drag and drive car with the 6-speed in there. You can haul butt down the highway. Matt Canola says, "How far behind are you on opening mail?" I'm not real far behind. Like I don't get as much anymore because I haven't made a mailbox opening video in a long time. And I stopped doing them because so many people seem bummed out about it. The thing I've learned about YouTube is you're only as good as your last video or your latest video. And because of the way YouTube works, people don't see them in order. And so there were literally people who thought I was just uploading unboxing videos and not working on cars anymore, even though I was only doing it like once a month. And so the mailbox opening videos were literally tanking the channel. So I love doing them, but it's just hard to actually do them because it's just bad for business. So I still open everybody's mail. And I respond to some of them, but I haven't done an unboxing video. I thought about like, and tell me what you guys think about this in the comments. I thought about starting a Patreon at some point, um, which is it's like having another job, to actually do it well, which is why I haven't done it because of time. But I thought about starting a Patreon and unboxing the stuff for you guys over there. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel weird. I feel weird launching a Patreon, which is why I haven't done it. So tell me what you think about that. Like I've thought about like just uploading content I feel like doesn't work here on YouTube to Patreon. And maybe that could be one of the things. I don't know. You guys let me know. All right. Let's do 2 more questions and then I'm going to go upstairs and see my wife. Scott Peterson says, "Are you going to bid on anything when CTC has the auction on the ones they saved on June 7th?" I didn't know anything about that. I thought it had already been closed. So no, Jesus, I didn't know. Ever thought of a second channel? No, dude. I have a hard enough time keeping up with this one. All right, let's do one more. Daniel Armour, dude, thank you. Wow. All right, last question. What's going on with the 63 Corvette? I'm gonna make a video here soon, and this wasn't even my idea. The guys from 1320 Video, Woody and Fred, came to visit me, and they filmed like an MTV Cribs thing in my warehouse, where they just looked at everything that was in there, and it was really fun. The thing about it though was everything wasn't in there when they came there, and that warehouse is full now. I bought a lot of crap recently. I've also bought some cool stuff, but I bought a lot of really, cheap cars. And so that 63 Corvette is there. It's in the corner of the warehouse, all the way jammed in where you can barely even see it. The frame is standing up against the wall with a ratchet strap holding it to the wall to save space. That car is just sitting there right now. And so I thought about, after the 1320 Video guys came by, and after their video drops, I thought about walking the whole warehouse and just showing you guys everything and giving you an update on where everything is and what the plan is, because it's been a while. So anyway, wow, there's almost 3,000 of you right now. I hate to go, but it's time to go upstairs, see my wife, hug my kids. And we'll do this again. I'll do this again later this week when the lawyer tells me it's cool to announce the winners of everything from the last contest, which is the 91 Z28 Camaro, the aluminum hand trucks, the autograph merch. I want to tell you guys all about that this week. So I'll let you know as soon as I know. I'll let you guys know when the next live stream will be. But we'll start making this a regular thing because it's really fun. And I appreciate all you guys. You've been the best. The questions were awesome. And the next time we live stream, I think the Cadillac will be in here so I can show you guys that. And yeah, stay rad, and I'll see you here soon.